Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, going to preview a few projects that I have coming up this week, give you an idea about which ones should make it to video, and if you see something here that I don't plan to do a video on and you would have an interest in that, well, let me know, and if time permits and I'm in the middle of it, I'll try and see if I can do a video for you. So the first one is an interesting set. I got a group of rods, 3 of them. They're lower entry. I'm going to say that they're certainly freshwater, and they're probably entry-level rods for children. But one of the fellows I know that's a vendor over at a local flea market purchased these from somebody who walked up to his table and asked him if he was interested in buying them. And they all need a little bit of work, so he brought them over to me and asked me if I couldn't tune them up for us. So we're going to start. We have what's called a Star Strike. I'm not sure who makes it. It's an entry-level reel. It's all a plastic case. This one's interesting. It actually has a view inside the reel, so you could take a look. This is a south bend. Interestingly enough, just notice it's a south bend, and you can actually look inside the reel and see what's making it move up and down, and that's kind of fun. I guess if you're a novice angler and you want something to keep your attention, well, that'll do it. Of course, when we do this work, we're going to take all this old line off. His intention is to sell them. If his intention is to sell them cheap enough, I may just buy them and give them away to kids. But this one's certainly going to be ready for the upcoming start of the season. We all can't wait for it. Here in New Jersey, we're under a little bit of snow at the moment, and this winter has lasted pretty long, and we'd like to get it done with as soon as we can. So then he brought me 2 of these. Again, I think the color schemes are kind of out there. They're appealing to a younger set, the next generation of fishers. I don't know which generation got this one all tangled up, but it's tangled up as well. And again, we'll go replace that line. This one's called the Shakespeare Rainbow Rod. It's a nice rod. It's about 5 feet. It's definitely set up for freshwater fishing. This is a relatively robust reel for the setup, and nothing wrong with it in terms of the traditional Shakespeare design. But what we can tell, it is on the lower end because the screws are rusting, so they haven't used the stainless steel screw set, and rust is setting in on these. So hopefully I'm going to be able to get those out without breaking them off. And you can tell that it's been lightly used. You have plastic on the handle still from the packaging. I guess maybe they took the section off here that had the sale tag on it, and it's still got that zip tie wrap so that the reel doesn't fall off the rod or get otherwise taken off the rod. And then we also have it in a very attractive purple. So there's 2 of these out there. I'm going to try and make these work for them. Interestingly enough, this has got a very low gear ratio for a spinning reel. It's only a 3.1 to 1 gear ratio, but at the end of the day, it's capable of catching fish. All 3 of these are. We're going to make sure that we get that line off of there, that we tune these things up, and that some kid has a chance to gain an appreciation for fishing. I've been doing that series on angler profiles, and one of the things that's constant across all of those angler profiles is that a lot of folks were introduced to fishing by family members and friends, and a lot of them were introduced at a relatively young age. So this is an ideal set of rods and reels here. We'll get them back to that vendor so that he can go ahead and put them out there. And if he doesn't want that much money, I'll go put them out there myself by giving them to some deserving children. Okay, so this one came in from Gary. This one is a big old reel. This is the Penn 330. I'm not sure if it's Series 1 or Series 2. It's the GTI. It's the Series 1. Some loose side plates going on there. This one was still made in the USA. So folks have asked me on this particular version if it's the GTI, or it might be GT1 or the GT2. The 2 was the first edition that was made overseas in China. So if you have a GT2, you won't see made in the USA on the reel foot. That's because it wasn't. That reel was produced in China, and that production started approximately 2005. So Gary's just asked me to tune that up, and we'll certainly do that for him. Next up comes from a local member of a saltwater club that I belong to. He said it's time to get a couple of his reels tuned up. This is Carmen. He sent me over a Calcutta 200B. Now, I've done some Calcuttas, so I'm not sure if I'm going to put that one onto a video or not. And then he's got his big surf reel. He's got the Quantum Cabo. This one is the size 70. It's a huge reel. We can tell it's got a little salt water issue and the like in the drag adjuster knob and all. It's just time for a cleanup, and that's what Carmen is asking me to do. So we'll get on that one, and I'll probably do the Cabo as a video, because I don't think I have many Cabos in my library. So we'll go ahead and take care of that. And then Leroy contacted me from Facebook. He's not too far away, and he's got 3 reels that he uses in the surf. Leroy is a traditional surf caster, and in this case we have the Abu Garcia 6600 C4. I'm not sure if I've done one on the C4. Beautiful coloring on the reel. These are nice reels, and we'll go ahead and see if we can't get this one done for him. This one still is made in Sweden. There are a group of those Abus that are not. You just need to be aware of which ones are. This is a second Abu. This is a bigger one. I think somebody actually asked me to do one of these, and I didn't have it in my shop. This should be the 7,000 size. Let's see what we got. It's hard to kind of read in that. Yeah, this is the 7,000 C3, and I know I've had a request come in for that one. This one was made in Taiwan, so we were just talking about which ones are made where. So this C3 is a Taiwanese version. Still runs nicely. He had asked me if it's possible to put ceramic bearings into this one. He uses this one for surf casting, and he would be very much interested in upgrading that. Wanted my opinion on whether the ceramic bearings would make a difference. Was a little concerned about the noise behind them, and wanted to see if we couldn't maybe get him to cast a couple of yards further. And then we have the beautiful Penn Squidder. This is the 140. It's the full-size frame, and he tells me that he's had this apart and the drags are messed up inside it. So we'll go ahead and see if we can't get that straightened out, maybe even change those drags over. Yeah, he's got something going on there, because in free spool that handle's kind of still stuck in moving. All right, so those are the ones that have come in. There's 2 or 3 more here on my table that we're going to get to. So the fellow that does the flea market also gave me a pen. It's the 160. It's the narrower version of the Pen 155 Beachmaster. It's got a broken side plate. So I have a couple of parts reels laying around that have the newer, the whole one, not cracked. Probably doesn't have this version of it. I'm going to have to go see, but it doesn't matter what version of this reel you have, and it doesn't matter which size. So a 155 Beachmaster side plate will fit this one, which is the 160, and you can swap out the parts, and gearing is the same as well. The only difference is the size of the crossbars and the size of the reel foot. So if you're looking for a parts reel, let's say you have the 165 or the 155 and you want to swap over, then you can do that. And I'm just noticing I'm probably not going to be able to repair it because this side plate is broken too. It's kind of hard to see. He didn't mention that when he gave it to me, but there's a crack here, and that extends over to this side here. So both sides are done. This one I'm going to probably tell him is not worth the investment of changing over. Why take a parts reel that has 2 solid side plates and swap it, unless for some reason this chrome and the like was not as corroded as it was, and you really wanted to fish that size frame versus the wider one. All right, so that's one. We got this one mailed in. This one came in from Charlie. This is a Fluger. It's the Fluger Temco, and I've got a couple of requests for these, the older Fluger ones. This one's got a chirp in it. That usually means a warp spool, and it usually means there's not much you can do about the warp spool. There's a lot of play in here, so we'll adjust that down. We'll see if that makes a difference. Well, adjust it down, and no, we still got a chirp. So what's happened with this one is that this spool has warped. I get that question quite a bit, How does it warp? Well, it warps because of the line pressure and tension on a spool, and sometimes that just throws it out of alignment enough. Sometimes you can see it when you're turning it. Like right now, I can just feel it because you can see the skip in it under pressure. So that's a warped spool. But regardless, we'll do what we can on this one. We're missing a couple of screws and the like in the side plate, but I guess this holds some memory for Charlie. So what we'll do is we'll do our best here to take it apart, and we'll make it an educational video for everybody else who may have one of these earlier Flugers. You'll see how they were designed inside, and if you have one, how to service that. And finally, Marty sent one in. This is a Berkeley 420. It's an older one. He tells me this is one that he's had as a kid, and kind of looks like he hasn't changed the line since he was a kid, but that's okay. This one's working. So let's see if the bail's working. Yeah, so all he had asked me to do was clean it up, and he's thinking of getting into fishing again. He would love to take this reel back out there, and there's no reason I don't think that he couldn't do just that with a good cleaning and servicing. So again, there's a lot of folks that have held on to their childhood treasures, to the reels that they learned how to fish with. This happens to be one of them. So I'll do a video on this one. We'll make sure that everybody gets a chance to see how the Berkeley 420 was, and go from there. Now, Berkeley today is part of the Pure Fishing empire. Berkeley is best known today for its gulp baits and the like. You don't normally see that the reels any longer from Berkeley. At one point in time, you had the Ryobi reel in the U.S., and the Ryobi reel rights to market that reel were sold to Berkeley, but then they discontinued that. So this kind of has had a history behind it. My guess is that he hasn't had this reel in a while, or he hasn't used this reel in a while. And so this one is reading, I'm just reading on the bottom here, it says, made in the USA from parts made in Japan. So that's probably going to put us in the 1970s or early 80s. The design of that kind of says the same. And interestingly enough, one of the rarest pen reels is a pen reel called the Penn Spin Caster. You won't find it out there much. It's a bait casting reel, and it used to have a little imprint just like that, made in the USA from parts in Japan. Penn decided it didn't want to market it that way, so it never brought the reels to market, and thus it's become a rare reel for collectors. And if you ever find one of those, it's a red sheeted closed-faced bait casting reel. If you ever find one of those, well, you've got a rarity there. So that's the previews that are in my shop that we'll be working on, and a conversation about some of the ones that I plan to bring to video. And if you'd like to see some that I'm not planning to work on at the moment, please leave them in the comments. I'll be happy to try and do a video if time permits. I appreciate everybody for watching. I appreciate our first responders and essential personnel for everything it is that you're doing to keep us safe. And if you have questions, please leave them in the comments section. If you want to see some reels that maybe I haven't displayed, but maybe I have in my shop, leave me a note and I'll see if I can find a reel that is close to it, if it's not that reel, to show you how to service your reels. And finally, if you like this stuff, I'd ask you to subscribe. And if you do subscribe, please hit the notifications. Subscriptions keep my channel vibrant. And it also, if you subscribe and hit notifications, it keeps you aware of the types of videos that I'm doing. So with that, I appreciate you watching. Wish you a great day. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, wishing you great fishing as well.